This week on SV Lynx. Welcome to this week's SV Lynx video. This week we hope to get the Bimini mounted to the top deck, but we may have a change in plans as some overcast skies are in the forecast, so we might be able to do some other things.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but we're going to proceed as if the main job is getting the Bimini up. So we've got a lot of sanding and a lot of painting before we can mount that up permanently onto the top deck. So let's get to work. So morning, we're getting started with the top of the hard top, the part that faces up. And the first thing we're doing is we're using a very thin mix. Because all we're doing is filling in maybe a millimeter or no more than 2, but probably about 1 millimeter's worth of thickness, or like a 32nd of an inch. It's a very small gap. So you can see here that this was not very low. You can just barely see a tiny bit of white on the edges there, but we wanted to smooth that out. Mostly we're taking the tape and smoothing it out onto the surface here. And then there are a few spots like here where there was just a little low spots that need to get filled. There's another one here, but I don't have enough epoxy yet. We're mixing some more. And again, a little white stripe there where it had to get filled in, and here we had just a couple little weird stripes in the when they were vacuum bagging it didn't get smooth right there, so you got these little stripes. So we filled those in, but most of it is good. And the idea being is that we sanded the surface here, and this is so perfectly smooth that the high build epoxy primer is going to level that out, and because it's practically a perfectly smooth surface. So we're not worried about that. We'll clean this up. We'll sand just a little bit more. Obviously when we sand the edges and stuff, we'll sand the whole thing a little bit, but then we're just going to go with epoxy primer right over the top of this, and that'll save some weight and sanding and all that good stuff. And again, I didn't come up with this. This is told to do this by our buddies over at Schoenig. So that's the technique. Alright, so we've got a nice, fairly smooth layer all the way around. So I think that's good enough for this, and we'll sand this up tomorrow and see if we can't get on to painting. On Saturday, Jeff did the initial sand on these posts, but I'm going to give them a little bit more hand sanding here with our oscillating circular, just because a belt sander is great for taking down the big stuff, but not necessarily getting it fine-tuned.
I don't even know we just did this morning. This is set up because of the heat, so much so that we're going to go ahead and sand this today. So we're about halfway here. Just looking real nice. I'll put these feathers out here. So I've still got to go along the back and the end over there, and then a little bit on the center line here.
Its top side is all sanded, ready for primer, but we got to do the other side. So we're going to flip it over. All right. Ah, it attacked me. I'm going first again. Now this one, we've got to sand the entire top, so a little more work. Well, with the sanding finally over on both sides of our helm hardtop, it was time to put on our Super Build 302 from Alexseal, and we had to put on 3 coats, putting 45 minutes between each coat. So our experiment on this top side of the helm was that can we just use the high build epoxy primer rather than fairing it? And the answer is absolutely. The this high build is great. So basically, by the time you put 3 coats on, you've put a thin layer of fairing compound in essence, because this is an epoxy, and it just goes on a lot smoother because you're rolling it, and therefore it's a lot less sanding and such to get it smooth. But I want to say it's still a lot of sanding because this stuff is tough. But the surface we're getting here is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's very, very smooth, because it starts out with this a bit of orange peel look to it. By the time we sand it, it's perfectly smooth. Now, there are 2 more layers of primer that go on top of this, and then we sand that as well. By the time we've done that, this is going to be really nice for paint, and we never had to put fairing compound on it. So the answer is everywhere that has very flat panels already, which is a lot of the boat, we don't have to put big thick layers of fairing compound, and that saves us time and money and weight. So it's really good, but it does still require a lot of sanding. This section right here to where Brian is right there is about 30 minutes. So this is probably going to take a good 3 hours to sand this to a nice smooth finish. But on the other hand, it's still a bit faster and lighter than if we did the fairing compound.
So we spent a couple more hours sanding this and preparing it for the next level of primer. This is very, very, very smooth through there. So this is the section here that we didn't put any fairing compound on, and we're getting a beautiful surface off of just these high builds. So this is definitely what we're going to do through a lot of the boat, because this boat is made out of flat panels for the most part. Other than the curved holes in the chamfer panels, it's all flat panels. So we're going to do a lot of sanding of the fiberglass, and then high build, then regular primer, then Alexseal paint. And this was the test, and the test is coming out really beautifully. Now we're applying finish primer. This is called 442 from Alexseal, and go right on top of the super build that we already put on here. While I'm doing this, Brian's up at the bow, and he's sanding the legs, because I'm going to paint those after I'm done with this. So hopefully by the time I finish, he'll be have sanded those up and cleaned them and be ready to go. On the high build, we have to wait a full hour before we can second coat, but on this, it's only 15 minutes, so I'll hardly be done before I start again. All right, coat number 1. Coat number 2 begins at 11:30, and then it'll be lunch. We finished the second coat on the hard top, and so Brian also finished sanding these legs. So we're gonna
get their next couple coats on. Well, we gotta hurry because I have a meeting at lunch with Sparcraft. Sparcraft are the makers of our boom and mast. Came from South Africa in our original shipment. But now that we're working with Garhauer on the hardware, I have some questions for him about where the mounts are for different blocks and halyards and all that good stuff. And so we scheduled a meeting. It'll be 8 o'clock their time, but they seem to be okay with that if I meet them at noon California time. So that's what we're going to do in a few minutes. Well, after my meeting with Sparcraft, which went well, it was time to get back to one of our favorite jobs, which is sanding the salon ceiling. So Brian and I started tag teaming that again. So this morning we were supposed to be sanding and painting this hardtop, but because the skies are overcast, anytime the skies are overcast, we stop whatever we're doing and we come up top to work on this, because we just can't work on this in the sunlight blazing on us. So we're doing some final sanding here. This whole section down here is all ready to go, but up where Brian is right there, there's a section we hadn't sanded yet. So we're doing that, and I doubt the overcast is going to last long enough for us to put a coat of primer on, but if this weather pattern holds for tomorrow morning, we may start with our high build paint up here. Well, the sun's come out, and we can't work on the roof anymore up there. It's just too sunny, so too hot for us. So we've moved over to what we intended to do today anyway, which was sand and eventually paint this side of the hardtop. So Brian and I are over at Garhauer. This is their actual manufacturing. They have 7 buildings, and we're just going to pop into one to meet with Mark and pick up our sail track.
This is a heavy duty beast. Awesome. All right.
Are you going to tank it or?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on my car right now.
What kind of white is this? Glacier?
Matterhorn.
Matterhorn.
It's Matterhorn white from Alexseal, which is a slightly blue tinged white. It's still white, but there's just a bit of blue to it, which makes it a little less glaring, we hope, up on the top deck when we're looking across it. You can see that blue.
Yeah.
If you guys want to see what I mean by slight blue, the primer is white and the Matterhorn has a slightly blue tinge to the white. Coming over here. Oh, I like the color. What do you think? Yeah. You know who's going to like it? John and Lisa. Because this is the color of their Duffy. Hear that, John? See, if you're watching the video, your name got mentioned. If you're not watching the video, well, then you didn't get to hear your name mentioned. Either way, I want you to invite me out on your Duffy again. Brian and I need to go down and visit the harbor master in Newport to start talking about where we're going to be able to put this when we get it finished, hopefully in Newport. So we've got to get on waiting lists, and we got to do that soon. Unless one of you viewers out there happens to live in Newport Beach and has a dock that you would like to rent us, then let me know. First coat of top coat of 501 is on. It'll smooth out a little bit over time. It'll flow out. And check your watch.
Got it.
Okay, 45 minutes from now, we're going to put the second coat on. Hello, how you doing?
Doing good, girl.
Just a second, I'm almost done with this. Don't touch this anywhere. It's very wet.
Okay.
You get paint all over you and you wouldn't want that, would you?
Worse, we make you repaint it.
Yeah, worse, we'll make you repaint it. Uh-oh.
Probably.
What is that? And why are you in my paint? All right. I think I'm done. This is Alexseal paint. Hi, how you doing? I'd shake your hand, but
It's okay, it's okay.
virtual shake.
Yeah, there we go.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Yeah, and this is the hard top that goes over the helm.
Yep.
And these are going to be two windows skylights, so you can look up and see the sails from the line handling and from the helm up there. And then there'll be a big solar panel here, and then a Starlink antenna here. Brian, I'm going to let you deal with this. Thank you so much. Actually, stand over here. You're on camera right now. Say hi, everybody.
Say hi. Hi, we're from Oregon.
You're from Oregon,
Portland.
and these are some of our viewers, and hopefully patron of our boat. And they're here to take a look since they're in town right now. And I said, sure. So we just finished the second coat on the hard top, which is a perfect timing for them because I can stop work and show them around a little bit. But we got to make sure we don't touch that. We got Jeff and Brian here on Big Cruise Saturday, and Jeff's over there sanding the other side of the hard top, and we're going to start getting its primer on. And while he's doing that, and it's overcast again, we already cleaned up the whole top deck, and Brian's up top now. He started painting. I'm mixing up more paint, and then I'm going to go up there and help him paint because that's a huge amount of surface area, and we want to get that coat on there completely today. But I gotta mix up some more Super Build primer. Stuff separates into a very thick layer at the bottom, so you can see how sludgy that is, but we got to get that mixed up. This is thick stuff. That's why we can use it for light fairing, because it's very thick stuff. This is a 1:1 to half mixture, so you have your Super Build, your converter, because this is epoxy, and then a reducer, which is only a half part. So we've got all three of those in. However, I'm going to mix up a second batch because that's such a massive area up there, and I don't want to have to come back down and remix immediately. So taking up 2 batches, it's cool enough that this will be okay. While Brian's working from that corner, I'm starting from the opposite corner here, because we only have so much overcast, so we got to do fast without giving up quality. So we 2 of us. All right, we're down to the last bit. On with his first coat. I have only 24 hours to put the next coat on. And we can't do it today for several reasons. One is this won't be set up enough to be out on top of. And 2, I don't know if you can see, but the sun has come out to greet us. And we really need it to be overcast to be doing this. So that means, although we don't normally work on Sunday, I'm going to come in on Sunday and paint this. Brian and Jeff are rolling on the 3rd coat of Super Build primer from Alexseal onto our ceiling portion of our hardtop. So this is the part we'll see when we're sitting at the helm looking up. And it's coming out, beautifully. And the surface is great. After we get this coat on, we'll be able to sand this on Monday, and then we'll move on to the other primer coats. Now what we're not going to be doing is putting the paint on this side, and that's because we have to take this up there and glue it onto the leg supports and then glass the leg supports to it, and we have to do that while it's still epoxy primer so that it can bond. And there's no problem with bonding tabbing to this Alexseal epoxy primer. That works just fine. And that's what we'll do. Now, if you'll remember at the beginning or end of last week's video, I think Marianne and I were talking and saying that we will definitely have this mounted on the boat this week. Well, there's a simple reason why we didn't get that done. And that's that big, giant cabin top up there that Brian and I sanded more and now painted the first coat of Super Build onto. That took the time up that we would have worked on this side and gotten it up there. So no, we won't get this up there this week. It'll go up there next week. But on the other hand, due to the overcast weather, we were able to work up on the giant cabin top and start getting that in its journey to be painted. And it's only at the beginning of that journey, because we have one coat on it right now of Super Build, and there's 3 coats that we want to put on it. And then we have to sand that whole monster, and then we have to put 2 more coats on of finish primer, and then the 2 top coats of actual paint. So that thing is not going to get done even next week. This, though, we'll definitely be able to get up there in between working on that. Now, I don't know that it'll be overcast next week, so we may or may not be able to work on the top. If it is, we'll certainly do that. If it isn't, we'll get back onto this or other things. So it is a trade, is what I guess I'm trying to say. We traded, because of the weather, time on this for time up there. But every time it's overcast, we're going to work on that cabin top. That's always been the rule, because we just can't put tarps up there. And if you wonder why we can't, you can go watch the episode where we spent an entire week and $5,000 putting a tent over this thing, only to take it down and waste another week taking it down. So, you know, we tried, but, you know, you work the way you have to work. And if the city's going to not let us put a tent up there, then we wait for overcast days and work out when it's overcast. And that's what we've been doing, and it'll get done. In fact, when we paint that, we're going to go ahead and put on the non-skid at the same time, so that that's all completed up there. And hopefully, until we start getting sailing, we won't have to go up on that cabin top much anymore, because it'll be all done. The next time we'll have to go up there is when we want to do our mast and put it up, and that's not until we're going sailing. So if we can get that thing painted and all the non-skid on there on the top deck, we're done up there, and that'd be nice to be done. We won't be done with many things, but we'll be done with that. This is part of it, because this is going up and it'll be finished completely. So when we're done with this next week, and so we won't have to take this up and down. The only thing we'll have to do is put the acrylic in. Now, somebody
Here? Yeah.
in our comments, yeah, he did all this. Somebody in our comments brought up another kind of acrylic, and I'll go over that in maybe some viewer questions at the end, so stick around for that. If you have extra paint, remember, we're going to paint these legs.
Set them up,
I'm setting up. For our last task of Saturday, we are putting another coat on of the Super Build onto our legs, so that they are well protected. Of course, this isn't protected, this is just a thickness, but this allows us to sand them smooth for getting the paint on there.
I'm not gonna reach it.
Oh, it goes right here, the short way. Okay. Jeff and I are up here on a Sunday, even though we don't work on Sundays normally. And it's in the sun, because the gloom of the mornings didn't show up today. But we don't really have much choice, because we have to put this next coat on within 24 hours. So otherwise we have to sand the entire roof, and we don't want to do that. So we're gonna get this done, even though it's a little warm for us. It'll be all right for the paint. It's the temperature out here is fine. It's cool. complete. We got the whole thing done, so came out pretty nice. We'll still gonna have to sand it, of course, but initially it's looking very good. So for just the second layer of primer, there's a lot more layers to go, so working out.
So it turns out we did have a couple of overcast days this week, so we were able to shift gears and get the first 2 coats of high build primer on the top deck, even though it took us through Sunday.
Yeah, but I wanted to thank our friend Jeff for coming by both Saturday and Sunday to help us get those coats of paint on, because we don't normally work Sundays, so Brian had plans already, but Jeff filled in and did a great job, so thanks, Jeff. Now, we do want to take a couple of viewer comments, and these were actually viewer suggestions, and I wanted to go over these 2 suggestions with you. So if Marianne would read the first one there, it'd be great.
Okay, first one is from John Blair. I'd look into XPEL infrared tint. UV is easy to block, infrared is harder, but that's also what you want to block.
Yeah, and we hadn't thought of that. And so what we were thinking in terms of was UV, because we don't want the acrylic to yellow and age. So we wanted it to be protected from sunlight. But what John pointed out is that it also needs to protect us. And so UV blocking is great for the acrylic, but infrared blocking cuts down the amount of heat transferred down to us sitting down there at the helm or standing at the line handling. So we've already taken a look into this, and there are acrylics that are both UV and infrared blocking. And so we're going to switch to that. So again, thanks, John.
Yes, thank you.
So what's our next one there?
Our next comment is from Charles C. Some have mentioned the stay not being sealed for dripping water. Just out of curiosity, Charles looked up rubber boot cable covers for boats. There's actually several types available for many places in the boat where wiring and control cables, etc., pass through walls.
Yeah, in fact, I answered him in the comments if he could send me a link to what he was talking about, and he did. So he went to our website and used our contact there and sent me a link and picture of a perfect boot, it's even white to blend in with our roof, to seal up that stay coming through the Bimini. So again, thank you, Charles. And it was Charles, right? Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Charles. And we appreciate that. And now we're going to take your suggestion and buy a boot for that hole. So it wasn't a critical thing. Water could have come through there because those are waterproof winches and all that stuff. But why not stop the water coming through if we can? So thanks for that. All right, well, that concludes this week's video, and we'd like to thank all of you for watching, and also thank our patrons for helping us to get this project finished.
Yes, thank you very much. We could not do this without you. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click on the bell icon to be notified of next week's video.
Right, and one last mention. We had some people stop by the lot, as you saw, and they're thinking about building a Solitaire 1520 in the future. And that's one of the reasons they wanted to stop by and see the boat. And I'm going to help consult with them on the layout and such, because remember, it can be changed to your desires for things like changes to the salon and changes to the cockpit areas. So changes to the heads, lots of little things can be changed. So I'm going to help them out on that when they get to their 1520. And if you ever want to build one of the Schoening boats, I'd be perfectly happy to help with you as well. So anyway, we will see you all next week, where I promise you we're going to get that hard top mounted up onto the top deck permanently. See you then.
Okay, bye.